Hello ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to be showing you how to create your final paper shoe design. First, take your paper prototype and deconstruct it carefully. You want to remove all these pieces individually so you can use them as a template to trace on your final project paper. After you have them all deconstructed, remove or fold over the tape so it doesn't get stuck to your final. Be sure to reference the drawing that you've already completed to make sure that you have an accurate color scheme that you've already chosen. I'm referencing this drawing here with a warm color scheme. First, take your profiles and lay them down as a template. Notice how I have 3 pieces that I've kept intact as one to trace for the left, back, and right side of my shoe. I'm also doing the treads or the outside kind of water barrier that's usually rubber on the exterior of your shoe that runs along the outsole. And then here's the outsole itself. Notice how I'm trying to get as much on each piece of paper as possible. When you're cutting out your paper, be careful, follow the lines, and keep it intact. Later I'll try to hide that piece of tape on the inside of my shoe. Here I need 2 outsoles, so I have 2 pieces of paper stacked on top of each other to save time and energy. I also cut out some circles that can be used as logos for the right and left side of my shoe. Notice how I needed 2, so I stacked 2 pieces of paper together. Here's all the different pieces that I cut out for red. Next, I'm moving on to the pieces that I want in orange. I'm taking my paper template, I'm laying it in the edge of my orange paper to try to maximize the resource of that orange. Try not to put it in the center of your paper, otherwise it'll be really wasteful. So both of these things that I'm cutting out, I need 2 of. So this one I fold in half and cut to create 2. And this one I lay another piece of paper underneath and then cut it out once to create a duplicate copy. So I have 2 of those things as well. I'm also going to be cutting out something else in orange. I'm going to be cutting out an outsole, and the outsole is actually going to turn into the top part of my shoe. So I'm actually going to kind of position that and cut part of that off so it fits on the top of my shoe, but I'll do that later on. And I'm also cutting some small aesthetic details for the logo design as well. So those are all the pieces I cut in orange. My final color is yellow. And this part is supposed to be the top part of kind of my toe box or where your toe is if you're looking down at your shoe. And to be honest, it really doesn't work out. So I try it, I give it a shot, and then just as always, if you fail, just try something different, try something else. And that's essentially what I do. And then I realized that I actually wanted this other piece that I just did in yellow, not orange. So I did the last step I just did, but in yellow. So again, I'm going to make mistakes in this video. You're going to make mistakes as you're doing yours as well. So just learn from them and make it better. Next, I'm going to start taking the pieces that I cut out and construct them and build the shoe itself. Now, as I'm kind of lining this up, I start to notice they're not even and equal. So I take it off and slide it down a little bit to make sure the left side and the right side are even and evenly distributed. As you're working through this step, it's very similar to the paper prototype version. So take your time, line up probably more tape than you did with the other one to make sure it's really secure, and then there's 0 gaps. Again, the profile or the edge wraps around the contour of the outsole or the bottom part of the shoe. Here I'm moving on to some overlays. Overlays are pieces of paper that go on top of your shoe. So here I'm doing my yellow overlay. I do a little bit of tape at the bottom where I know this orange is going to be covered up, and then I glue as well. So you can use a combination of glue as well as tape, but really strive to have the tape be visible. Again, the tape on the bottom here I know is going to be covered up with the orange, so I put a little bit of tape there to hold it in place and then glue it as well. Glue, you don't want to use too much or it'll get wrinkly and the paper will just not turn out good. So I'm working on some more overlays. I'm using some scrap paper, and I'm trying to figure out that toe box or the front part of my shoe. And I'm also kind of audibling here or changing my mind and adding a little bit more detail around the trim piece here with some orange. So I have red and then orange that goes underneath it that kind of pops out to add some contrast between the pretty much all red part of my shoe. I'm taping the inside where I know that no one can see it, and then also gluing the areas on the outside where I can't hide the tape. So use a combination of tape and glue when you're working. Now I realize that I messed this up. I didn't put the counter or the back part of the shoe on first, and now I have to cover up my yellow piece here. So again, you're gonna make mistakes, and once you glue something down, you can't really fix it, so you gotta just go with it. So here, I just make my counter as part of the design. Again, it should have gone underneath it, but instead it went over, and I thought, okay, let's add some more details to the back. I have this circle design that's getting repeated, so I put that on the back. Now, I'm going to be taking that outsole piece, that second piece that I did before, and I'm going to start taping it onto the front here. As you're working, do a little bit at a time. I'm going left, then right, then left, then right, all the way up the edges of the profile of my shoe here. And then I'm going to cut and remove the excess piece that I don't need because that tongue should not come up so far. So I'm curving off the edges, making sure it's symmetrical and taped and secure how I like it before moving on to my next step. For my next step, I need some more orange trim pieces that I didn't cut out prior. So I'm adding some, I'm cutting out some more using the ruler, and then I'm gonna have those underneath my other pieces that I already cut out, which were red. So I'm kind of measuring to make sure it all lines up to the length that I need it so it wraps all the way around the shoe. I do a little bit of tape and a little bit of glue to secure it in place. Then I'm adding a little bit of red on top so I have that continuous line that's consistent from the front of the toe box that's going to go all the way around the shoe as well. And again, I'm going to have this piece that I just made hide and cover the yellow that I already cut out. I'm adding a strip to the front here. Again, I'm realizing that my original piece that I cut out for yellow is not going to really work how I want it. So instead, I'm just going to make it a little bit more simple. I'm going to modify, and I'm going to be doing a combination of glue and tape to secure this down. So again, anything that needs to be hidden, think about how those overlays are going to overlap. Again, it is a puzzle to think about what pieces you need hidden and what pieces are going to be on the outside. So think about that before you glue it down to make your overlays permanent. Next, I'm doing some more overlays of different circles that have a little bit of contrast. That kind of becomes part of my logo design on the left and the right part of or right side of my shoe. I'm also adding a little bit of detail and texture on the top, which could suggest where the laces would run through for the left and the right side so it is symmetrical. Now, for your shoe, you do not have to create laces. If you really want to cut them out with paper, you could, but I'm just kind of ignoring that, or I'm pretending that my shoes are Velcro. So your final step is just to make sure that you've considered all the different angles of your shoe. Have you added detail to the left and the right side, the top and the back of your shoe? Just consider all those angles. So that's how you create a final paper shoe design. I hope this video was helpful. Make sure you take your time, do your best quality work, and focus on all the different ways you can create overlays throughout your shoe.